As I explained in a column this week, this year, shame is actually how best to describe our community. Even in the wake of last year's topless reveler at the White House's annual Pride Party, 2024 has been a banner year for LGBT bad behavior, as gay folk around the world have embraced causes that are ultimately likely to hurt us most. In Britain, for instance, April's Cass report revealed a British public health system failing gender dysphoric kids and teens. Gender medicine for children and young people is built on shaky foundations, declared Dr. Hilary Cass, a pediatrician whose nearly 400-page report laid bare the recklessness of juvenile medical interventions that are often irreversible. Rather than helping teens embrace their developing bodies, said Cass, activists, academics, and physicians are fast-tracking them to hormones and transgender surgeries, with no good evidence on the long-term outcomes of interventions to manage gender-related distress, Cass said. The Cass report echoes a similar brief from February by Dr. Ritikatu Kalitalia, a top adolescent psychiatrist at Finland's Tampere University. That study debunks the notion that medical interventions are the best way to prevent trans kids from considering suicide. It is most unethical to say that kind of thing to parents, Dr. Kalitalia said. It's not based on fact. Instead, gender clinics must focus on the larger mental health issues often impacting trans-identifying youth. Suicides, Dr. Kalitalia said, were more likely to be caused by severe psychiatric problems, not gender distress. Distress, however, is now a way of life for gays and lesbians in Ghana, where Parliament has made it illegal to identify as LGBT. The law, which passed in February, imposes 3-year prison terms to folks who call themselves LGBT and up to 5 years for anyone who funds or forms a gay or lesbian organization. It's among the most punitive laws of its kind today, and yet there were few global protests, no demands for sanctions, no calls for boycotts. Black lives, it seems, at least for LGBT Ghanaians, apparently do not matter. So what has mattered this past year? Shock and awe tactics, such as the funeral for longtime trans activist Cecilia Genti, who passed away in February. The service, which appeared more like an episode out of RuPaul's Drag Race than a solemn memorial, was held at St. Patrick's Cathedral in Midtown Manhattan, where Genti was eulogized as Saint Cecilia, mother of all horrors. The outre language and flashy crowd were an odd fit for the Catholic setting, so much so that St. Patrick said it had been tricked into hosting the event, for which it had little knowledge and later held a mass of reparations to atone for Gentile's sacrilegious ceremony. The front was particularly distasteful considering the recent pro-LGBT edicts issued by Pope Francis, including his approval last December of blessings for certain same-sex unions. Then there's the war in Gaza and the Hamas attack on Israel last October 7th. Somehow, despite Hamas's paper trail of anti-gay violence and anti-gay laws throughout the West Bank and Gaza, myriad queer groups have backed the Palestinian cause over Israel. Never mind that Israel has the most progressive LGBT laws in the Middle East, or that Israel offers state-sanctioned refuge to Palestinian asylum seekers. As a transgender Palestinian poet and activist named Yafa told the progressive publication Prism in February, Palestine is literally better than here when it comes to LGBT rights. By here she meant central Massachusetts, where same-sex marriage has been legal for more than 2 decades. Try getting a similar license in Rafah or Ramallah. With leading LGBT groups such as ACT UP echoing such silliness, the queer embrace of anti-Zionism is the most craven display of LGBT communal rot. The most disheartening aspect of this farce is that Zionism and LGBT liberation actually share so much ideological DNA. Both are rooted in the demand for self-respect and self-determination, for nationhood for Jews, the freedom to love by LGBTs, and both reject historical conventions that have left each minority group vulnerable to state-sanctioned violence and disenfranchisement. Recognizing these commonalities would not only further the freedom of imperiled gays and lesbians, but the freedom of Palestinians as well. This is the most tragic missed opportunity this past year, and our community's most shameful sin of all.